Hate the conservatives.
All right, so who is Israel's white knight?
Us, Canada.
Jonathan Baird, the Foreign Affairs Minister, John Baird, came forth and voted against
in the United Nations.
In the United Nations,
made us think.
Voted against giving the Palestinians an upgraded status,
yes,
which would be non-member observer state, right? Which, you know what? Everybody else seemed to think it was a really good idea, including myself, but I think including you guys. Haven't we seen Palestinians suffer?
I'm with Micronesia. I don't think it was a good idea.
Micronesia, I know.
I know. That's who we're listed with now, right? That's our allies now. We have Israel, the United States, Micronesia, 4 or 5 other countries, honestly, that like you never hear of on the international stage. I guess they agreed to give them aid or something, right? So they said, we'll vote with you, right?
Yeah.
If you give us aid or guns to shoot our rebels or whatever.
We'll sell you guns and bombs and children to wear the bombs.
Yeah, Jonathan Baird, he's pretty offensive. I don't think they're taking the stance of all Canadians. I think they're taking an extremely one-sided political stance, which is not really a Canadian perspective. Canadians, for the most part, were always very, let's just say, we always made sure we were on the right side of something before we jumped in and see if the pool had water. We've made so many huge decisions in the past year and a half internationally, eliminating our fellow in Iran, right?
Right.
We got rid of that guy. We've declared that Israel is our #1 ally, and we don't care either way what they decide to do. It's fine with us, right? We're Canada, and we're all good with everybody being in prison. That's fine, right? We don't care. And our fucking guy just got promoted from the Bank of Canada to the Bank of England, which happens to be the Rothschild Bank, which happens to own, like, what, 80% of Israel or whatever. I'm not saying it's all kind of fucking tying together, but these conservative government that we have now, these technocrats that only care about raping Canada for money, right? That's their thing now. We don't need jobs. All we need is to fucking extract our resources and give it to people.
So we can buy slaves at the auction.
Well, it's to make a lot of money, obviously. You know, this was something that was greeted with a standing ovation in the United Nations, right? The
Jonathan Baird speech.
No, the vote giving
9 guys stood up. Yeah,
the vote that went 138 to 9, and I think there was like 43 countries that abstained.
Abstained, yes.
Right. But Canada was one of the 9
Why
votes.
wouldn't we just abstain then? You know?
Because he wanted to make a statement. He got up on stage and said it was a dangerous thing to do and that they shouldn't be doing it. It was against the process of peace. It was...
How can it be against
I
the
know,
process of
right?
peace?
Like,
I don't understand.
These people need to be able to communicate on the international stage. They need to have a presence.
They need to have rights.
They need to have representation.
Yes, and basic human rights.
Otherwise, they will continue to be a people that are just living under an apartheid
and they talk about
system that makes them, you know, second-class or third-class citizens.
The most disturbing part. Sorry, Jeff, to cut you off. But the most disturbing part about Jonathan Baird's speech is the fact that they talk
in
about
their own home.
No, they talk about now that they have what is it? Viewership statehood, where they can just
non-member observer.
Yeah, they can observe. They can't participate. They can't vote. But they can use the international criminal courts. And Jonathan Baird somehow is really upset that the Palestinians are allowed to use the international criminal courts. And I'm only going to say this: is that because if justice prevails, we'll be found to be on the wrong side of justice? Is that what's happening here? Is that why he stood up and said that we can't have justice?
I think that the Israeli pull within our government, the connections are strong. The influence is strong. Our country, like the United States, has a very strong, very, very strong Jewish
I understand, but I really want to say that I do understand the Israeli plight, because if there are schools of people that are learning that the problem with the world is Israel, and they are teaching that, right? They are teaching these are the reason, like this is taught in these crazy fundamentalist schools. They're taught like Israel must go and Israel's the problem.
Of course.
I don't know how to achieve balance. Really, guys, this is beyond.
It's hard for us as outsiders to understand directly what's going on there, but we've seen it all our lives. The conflict, it's never ending. It never seems to get better. In fact, if anything, it seems to be getting worse in a lot of ways. And the fact that Iran, is constantly targeted by, NATO, by United Nations, right?
Well, they're obviously anti-globalist, right? And obviously the globalist push is on, right? They want a global government. They want all these Asian countries that fight constantly to be part of some kind of union, which I don't see that happening. Like, how the fuck
Well, they are in a sense in the United Nations.
Yeah, they are in a sense, right up until they fucking create a new map in China on their passport, and everybody goes bananas.
To come in there and to bail these countries out at a cost, of course.
Right? Obama shows up and tells everybody what for.
But what is John Baird really doing? I mean, is it just because this government is very in tight?
This government is not
having a strong alliance with Israel. Is it because there's strong Jewish connections within the government?
I think
that have forced them into this, because this is an embarrassment to Canada, because this is not the way the rest of Canada thinks. The rest of Canada, 3/4 of Canada, is sympathetic, would be in favor of that.
I think there's a 357A and B before the C, and these are the type of meetings that happen at 357A, right? These are the type of meetings that happen at a huge global level.
Closed doors within the United Nations.
Yes, when they go into the Turkish baths of the United Nations, right? When they actually sit down there and have a Turkish bath together, and they decide, we're going to spend the taxpayers'
They're deciding the whole of the fucking economy.
Yeah, they're not talking about provincial tax dollars. Then they're talking, or municipal tax dollars. Now they're talking about federal tax dollars. Now they're talking about countries' worth of tax dollars.
What does it gain for Canada to take this stance?
If anything, it insults half or more of Canadians that are definitely more on the side of. We're pretty proud of the fact that we always seem to pick the right side in history of what's right and wrong. In this case, there is no right side, okay? In this case, their particular conflict really has to do with them. I know the whole world's involved, but
it's not that there's no right side, okay? There is a right side. The right side would be to support statehood for Palestine, right?
Yeah, but
because look, they were robbed of it.
I understand.
They need to have it. Let's give it to them, and let's make it work.
Next to a state that wants to annihilate that state, or is teaching
that
the
has
children
to happen.
in school.
Otherwise, the shit's never gonna stop.
I know, but that's just like the PQ government now suddenly implementing in school. They're going to teach that fucking the English people are the fucking problem. We have to kill all the English people. Okay, like no, you can't allow that kind of stuff to be taught in school.
They're gonna
no, but they do teach that. Right? There are people that are willing to suicide bomb themselves and this and that because they learned it in school.
Where, in Palestine?
Yes.
You're saying?
So
look.
I'm not saying that you're a product of
how
your
many
environment.
Palestinians have been killed? Like just in the recent conflict.
I understand,
right?
Product of
the
your
recent conflict. How many people were killed in the side of Gaza?
I like
Gaza
your
City?
idea of paying Egypt. Give them fucking billions of dollars from the United Nations. We're going to build them a city, because, I mean, China can build a city in years, right?
You can build a city in 5 years, it's fully functional. You start moving people in 3.
And just put people there and say the state of Palestine will be in this large country of Egypt.
Yep.
They'll allow it.
Give them...
They're all connected through the brotherhood, right?
Give them what they deserve. Give them the Gaza Strip. Give them their territories. Give them the territories that are rightfully theirs. And let them have a state that they can function on their own. And as a prerequisite, make a peace with Israel. Make a peace. Because, look, Israel's going ahead. They're going to go ahead and build all these new settlements, right? They just said it the other day. It just keeps going on. You can't do it. You know, these people were lifted from their homes when the state of Israel was declared. They lost their homelands. They lost where they were from. They have never been able to get that back. It's not fair. It has to be done. It's stupid to do otherwise. And, you know,
something more humane has got to be done, and there has to be give on both sides to make it happen. And they got to stop with the shooting, or else it's never going to happen, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
But it's still got to progress in a way that happens this way. If it's got to be drastic by moving...
But you're talking about a people that live
move
in an
them and pay
apartheid-like
for it.
system.
I know, it's
right?
wrong, dude. I know it's
They're
wrong. You have to be the
economically
lighthouse.
strangled.
I know what they're doing
They're-
to them, man. It is not good. Right? We know this. So we want to build
Yeah,
some
well,
good. So
we
it
know
takes care
it. We
of
have
itself.
to talk about it.
So that's
because-
what I'm trying to say. We have to build some good out of this. I don't know how, because it's all negative there. Why is it so negative there? Why are these people so hateful towards each other that they?
It doesn't
continue
have
this
to
way?
be. You have to make a
They
compromise.
breed
You
it,
have
man.
to.
It's in mother's
You
milk
have
there.
to pull out. You have to give in order to receive. You have to, like Israel has
It doesn't
to
seem like
fucking
either side-
man up. They have to fucking say, look, we gotta be magnanimous. We have to be generous. We have to give to these people. We have to allow them to have a chance. Otherwise, there's never gonna be peace.
It doesn't seem to be in the cards, that though.
You know,
Well,
you
it
have
seems
to
be
make a deal. You
encouraging,
have
inevitable,
to.
like, let's have Armageddon.
But,
You know, you have half the countries, half the Arab states that are.
See,
are
this is why Canada should have
sympathetic
abstained,
to,
because I
or-
believe most people have the same doubt we have. The same question of, there's no right side in this. They're both wrong.
No, what do you mean they're both wrong?
Because they're both doing the wrong thing as opposed
Yeah,
to...
they're-
Yeah,
Neither-
but I mean,
Now,
one
we're
side.
not talking about defending yourself against missiles being thrown at you and stuff. That's what reality
Yeah, but
just
the
has to
reality is it hasn't happened. So,
I know.
I mean, come on, they're fighting for it. That's what they're doing. I
I
mean,
know,
we
but
would
they're
be
fighting-
doing the same because that
We
is
should be
what
fighting
is
a
right.
war within so that we're not going out
it's
and actually
only
doing the outward
right.
action.
It's
But
only,
they don't look at each other as
The
people.
war
They
within.
don't even look at each other
They
as
hate each
people.
other.
They do. They really do.
Yeah,
Violent,
but
violent
it's not
hate.
necessarily true. There's a lot. There's like
Most people are very nice towards each other.
I
They all
agree
get
with
along.
Jeff. Maybe it's not even
It's-
most
it's
people.
only-
I think
there's
it's
a lot of
1%.
Jewish
The-
people
the
that
politicians
protest
and the
against their
papers.
government's
Get out
action.
to be that way.
The
There's
new-
a lot of Jewish
the
people that go out and protest.
357 A, B, and C people are the people that decide what our mood will be or what our
Can they
motive will
manipulate
be.
the populations
Yes, they
through
do.
television and mass media and soft drinks and pharmaceutical drugs so that you are totally under their control and sway?
Well, they own the
and
media.
mood.
They don't have to
And the
manipulate
media
it.
and the mood,
They
the
use the media
and the
to.
mood,
They
they lead
use-
you like away like because you are a sheep. Do.
We are sheep.
We are farming you.
We are sheep. No, and the people like us that stand up and say, you know, the news gives
They
its
try to
point
put
of-
us down like old
Like,
Yeller.
we give,
Take him up behind the burn and
you
shoot
know,
him.
we give
Or I'll
our
shoot you
we give our
and him.
opinion of the news, right? We don't actually break any news or anything. We give our opinion of the news, and
Duh.
our representation of the opinion of the news, I think, is more in tune with what is really happening than the news itself, which is just designed to program.
I can
people.
say that watching Canadian news is not the same as watching American news.
Thank
I mean,
God.
watching CBC
Fuck, we'd be completely retarded then too.
is not as bad as watching Fox. It's
Fox News.
Right.
Like that situation room with the map and the
It should
thing
be.
that does
It
a
should
thing.
just be called.
I'm not
Shock
saying
News.
that CBC is the holy grail of fucking, you know,
The
broadcasters,
CBC
but comparatively, the slant is so much